This is Brandon Richard here in the Revo Crew studio. We have one of our Revo Crew power programs in the building, someone that's very well known in the DFW Metroplex, but I'll let him introduce himself.
How you doing? I'm Stephen Thomas. I'm the head boys basketball coach at Arlington, Seguin. I'm excited to be in this position. I don't take lightly. Very thankful to be able to help my players, their parents, community. I'm just thankful for the whole opportunity that has been provided for me.
Well, yes, sir. Well,
Yes, sir.
Again, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
You brought your family in here today, so very cool.
Yeah, I did.
But kind of really before we get into Arlington Seguin, let's talk a little bit about your journey into where you are. How did you, did you play high school basketball?
Yes, sir.
How did that get started?
I was blessed to play for Coach Robert Hughes. He was the head boys basketball coach at Fort Worth Dunbar. I tell people all the time, it was the most intense time, but it was also a time when you sit back and think about it, it's like one of the most, it just brings a big smile on your face because you know that there's nothing you can't do, because, at Dunbar at that time, you got challenged every single day on the court. It was, sports competing with each other. Our football team was really good. Our track team was really good. And we knew about the history that Coach had, so we wanted to live up to that standard. And he just taught us how to work, man, how to work for what you want. Nobody's going to give you anything. And if you want it, you write it down, and every day you work to go get it. And it's something I still use to this day.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, and again, what did playing for Dunbar mean in your neighborhood, in the DFW Metroplex, before you ever put on that jersey?
It was like you knew the history. Like you knew the players that came before you. You knew the coaches that came. You knew how, you wanted to see if you really, really was good. You knew if you wanted to, you had the standard. You knew you weren't just representing yourself. You was representing your family. You was representing the Stop Six community. You was representing, like I say, the past players. And, at that time when we were coming up, Coach hadn't made it to state in about 7-8 years.
Oh, wow.
And so, it was personal. Like we wanted to make sure we got down to Austin and competed and got Coach back there. And we were thankful that we were able to do that. It took a special group of guys. My senior year was the talent was crazy. You had Chris Bosh and you had Deron Williams and you had Daniel Hortons. And, it was just a very, very good time for basketball. Yeah. But it was very, very tough. You had to bring it every single day, so it was something I take pride in and to say I was able to do and be a part of. My teammates was amazing. We all were able to, sacrifice to come together and do it. In those 2 years together, we only lost 5 games, and so it was a very, very fun time. It was intense, but it was fun, yeah, 'cause you had to bring it every single day. Somebody was trying to earn a name off of you, know, and you were doing the same thing. They knew if I was a good player, I needed to make a name against Stephen Thomas or Jeremy Smith, and we were doing the same thing. We knew if we wanted to be elite, we needed to do well versus Chris Bosh and Jason Maxwell, certain elite guys that we saw playing on TV within a couple of years. So it was a very, very fun time.
Well, man, I remember that time again. Like you mentioned the name Dunbar, everyone was like, "Oh, sir. Man," about that school. So that's very cool that you went there, and
it was you had the community that was they understood. They protected us. They made sure that if we needed anything, they just took care of us, and they also made sure we wasn't doing anything we wasn't supposed to.
Yes, sir.
You trying to go hang out in the hallways? No, you get yourself to class, and that was teammates, fellow students, just a regular barbershop guy. They didn't play. They we needed you to be ready by the time the season started.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
So what's the biggest lesson you took from playing from Coach Hughes, which, if everyone doesn't know, he's one of the winningest high school boys basketball coach,
yes.
Of all time,
yes.
I think anywhere.
Yes,
that still really shapes how you coach your players at Seguin today.
Just that if you want it, work for it. There's going to be plenty of obstacles in your way that could try to stop you from doing and achieving your goal. But write it down, right steps to achieve it, and go get it. Like every single day, regardless of whatever it is, you give your best to it. You work to achieve, and that's regardless in basketball, in the classroom, in the community, whatever it is. If you want it, you make sure you dedicate yourself to go get it every single day. And that's something that I just want to make sure I leave with my guys is there's nothing that you can't achieve. I'm living proof of it. I grew up in the Stop Six projects, and to go and play Division I ball and play a couple years overseas, and to be in this position of leading young men is something that I know. I don't take it for granted. So I just try to say every single day, man, if you want it, earn it every single day. That's why that's our mindset, everyday
Yes, sir.
mentality. You gotta, some days you're gonna have big energy when you're doing it. Some days you're gonna have little energy, but it's still, as long as you're giving your best to push yourself, it works itself out.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If again, Coach Hughes walked into Seguin practice today, what do you think he'd be most proud of?
I think
to
he
see?
would enjoy the intensity. I think he would enjoy this. He would see me smiling while coaching hard, and he would see me correcting the small details. He would see me making a big emphasis, and me and our staff, making a big emphasis on defense, making a big emphasis on rebounding on both sides of the ball, and then, getting up and down that floor. That was something that coach was big on, earn a stop and then go reward each other for working hard on the defensive end. And so I think he would enjoy that. I think he would get a big smile out of that,
So,
because he said defense would travel. So we was in Dallas, Fort Worth, or Amarillo, or in Austin. We wanted our defense to follow us and take us wherever it is. Shots going to fall some nights it's not. But that we wanted to make sure we was going to guard you. Or as he say, he wanted to eat the jersey off your chest. That's how he used to say to us. He said, I want y'all to eat the jersey off their chest. And we took it serious. Like we didn't want to give up over 50 points.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we took it very serious.
Wow.
So it was something I think he would enjoy that.
No, that's very cool.
Yes, sir.
So how did your collegiate and professional playing career shape your coaching style today?
It showed me that there was multiple ways to teach something. Coming up, we was running and playing defense, but it also showed me that there's, you can show the whole picture, and then you can start breaking it down through practice plans, through your film. You just find different ways to teach your young men, because not everybody learn the same.
Yeah.
When I came up, it was, I tell you to do this, you do it. And you make a mistake, you get out there and do it again and correct it. Now we find different ways to make sure we're teaching it. So we may be teaching a simple concept, but we're going to show it to you through film. We're going to show it to you through modeling out, get on the court ourselves. And then we're going to go do our drill work. So it's just trying to find different ways to make sure our young men understand what we're trying to teach them. Like I said, there's a level of intensity. So once you understand what we're trying to teach, then we start picking up the intensity, and that's been the biggest difference.
And I would say, going off of that a little bit more, I mean, you went to UTA to play.
Yes, sir.
And then you played overseas in
Yes,
a
sir.
couple of countries.
Yes, sir.
But being in DFW and then you leaving to go into a whole different country, like, how does that help you teach your players and athletes that, man, your dreams, you don't even know what's out there that you can imagine? How does that help?
It's just, it's like you just believe. It's like you see the potential in your players, and you just keep trying to feed them confidence, because if they buy into what you're trying to show them, that basketball can take you across the waters to you can be walking in Iceland and walking the streets in Germany, or, visiting different places in Mexico. It's like, but you gotta have a little faith, and that's one of the things. I had a coach named Otis Evans who told me as a 13-year-old that I could play overseas, that I could make money. And it was something small, but for me, it was so big because it was different from what I was seeing. And like I tell him all the time, I see him, I give him a big hug and I say, thank you, because that small words was something that was very, very inspirational to me. And I try to do that to my guys. I tell them, what you could do if you just simply buy into someone coaching you, and uplifting you, motivating you, and understanding where we're coming from. 'Cause sometimes though our voice may be getting loud, what we're trying to say to you is something that's for your benefit. So it's just trying to make sure that they understand it. But it also goes back to the relationship part. I try to invest in, I let them see, that not only I'm gonna coach you hard on the court, but off the court, you're gonna see my family, you're gonna see my sisters, you're gonna see my wife, my kids, you're gonna see that I'm a man this is not just a job for me. As long as I'm in this position, I'm going to give you my very best, because that's what I was given at Dunbar. It's what I was given at UTA. And two of the couple of places I played overseas, I had some coaches that was the same way. And so that's why I feel like that's why I am who I am.
Yes, sir. And again, I think that's amazing. Again, someone from DFW, from Stop Six, and then being able to play overseas. One, less than 1% that can even do that. And then even to come from, that's very cool.
Yes, sir.
One thing that I heard that I want to bring up, because I think I heard at your parent meeting that really kind of, it caught my attention.
Yes,
and I don't know if you're okay with explaining, you said to all the parents and players, like, you couldn't have one B or you wouldn't be able to go play at UTA.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain a little bit? Because that was very, that's a lot to put on
Yeah.
someone to be able to play there, and then you were able
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah. I was a C, a C plus student. I just did enough just to just to pass. But then when I met a guy named Scott Cross, who was the assistant coach at UTA, he's the head coach at Troy, and he was like, if you want to come and join this basketball family and play at this level, there's going to be some sacrifices that you have to make. And so for me to go into to be able to go play at UTA, I had to I couldn't go to parties. Sometimes I couldn't hang out with my friends because I needed to do the tutoring. I needed to, get better at English, get better at math. And I really had to invest in. I only went to prom my senior year, and I was able to make all A's my senior year.
Wow.
And it was at the time it didn't even feel like a big sacrifice, because I saw the campus, I saw and I saw how Coach Cross loved me, and he reminded me of Coach Hughes. He reminded me of a guy named Derek Daines, who's probably the best player, one of the best players that ever come out of Dunbar. It was, I wanted to be near that, and so I worked very hard to be able to go there, and I don't regret it at all, because I tell my son all the time, you're doing something that I don't know if I could do. Like, I don't know if I could have went the JUCO route because of how competitive
It's hard.
it is, and seeing how hungry it is. Like, I was a hungry player, but I was like, I tell him every time, I say, you'll win regardless of whatever happens, because you are doing something that I don't feel like a lot of people could do. I've seen the other side of it. And so I just try to, share with him what I believe he's doing and how amazing he is right now. And then I also try to remind him of what I had to go through. It was that senior year, when people partying and going out, I just went to prom. That was it. Prom and graduation. And I moved into college that the next day.
That's crazy.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a very cool story, and
Yes, sir.
that's cool to hear. And
Yes, sir.
the mentality that you had to have, and I think that speaks highly of you, but also tells that story to anyone.
Yes, sir.
If you want to take it, I mean, you have to go after it to get there. So,
and it was something I'm just truly thankful for, because I got to meet some amazing friends. My fraternity brothers with Omega Psi Phi. I got the guys I'm still hanging with to this day, and they got iron sharpens iron. I got guys that holding me accountable and allow me to hold them accountable. Some days I'll be want to stay home and relax. Like, no, you're getting out today. You're going to go. We're going to go to hang out with all the fellas, and I appreciate that. Because sometimes as humans we want to just relax, but sometimes you need to get out and spend that time with family and friends.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now, talking a little bit about your coaching.
Yes, sir.
What was your path from assistant coach to becoming the head coach at Arlington Seguin?
Yes, sir. So I was blessed. As soon as I retired, I was blessed to work at Brewer High School for a guy named Jason Porstowski. I was his defensive coordinator. All I knew was what I knew from college and from playing ball. And so through him, I was able to learn how to become more professional, how the small details lead to, the big things. I always was relying upon what I did as a player. And when you become a coach, you got to remove all that. They love to know your expertise, but they want to know, okay, coach, how are you going to get me better? And that's what I always try to tell any kid I come in contact with is, I don't, you can hear about what I did as a player, but what I care more about now is knowing that I became a 3-time better coach. I want to make sure that I'm investing in you, make sure I'm giving you everything that you need to get better. And if I do that, if I can give you that type of intensity and passion and knowledge, then I know I'm winning, because I know you're going to know that I didn't shortchange you. And then from Brewer, I was able to go to South Hills for 7 years, with up under a guy named John Jackson. He kind of showed me how to, you still have that competitive fire, but he showed me how to pace yourself, because sometimes you can go too hard. You can work so hard and drain and burn yourself out. And then from there, I was blessed to go to Mansfield Summit up under Don Mayu Smith. I was able to make the jump to the girls' side. Okay. And it was one of the most important times for me, because, I hadn't had my daughter yet. And when you're around those young ladies, they bring a different side out of you. You learn how to love basketball in a different way. And they learn, if you care, if they see how much you care, they'll run through a wall for you. That's cool. And it was an introduction to high-level basketball, because I think of those 5 years, 4 years, we either played for the regional finals. Oh, wow. We was very, very competitive there. And then, I was blessed to go play up under Brandon Bennett, who was a mentor of mine. And, it was kind of like preparing me for my Seguin job, because he showed me the day-to-day ropes. You see it, but it's different. He was a guy that didn't, say, we're going to do this, and then we all get behind him. He would say, I'm doing this, you doing this, you doing this, whatever this is that you're doing, make it your own. And so he trusted me with the weight room. He trusted me with our social media. He trusted me with our defensive system. And, it was something that I really, really, truly enjoyed. So those have been my journey. And I got blessed to come to Arlington, Seguin. I love my time at SGP. I really wasn't trying to leave. But, it was just the way things happened. It was like, okay, Lord, this is you telling me to make this jump. And, yes, sir. And that's what ended up happening. Yes, sir.
Very cool. And I think we said the other day, Weir was here. I guess there's a little bit of a coaching tree under Bennett. Yes, sir. You got Weir at Keller, you at Seguin, I think someone else.
Yeah, Jernell Chomley. He's the head coach at Naaman Forest.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And then, it's just like me and Ware, we would be throwing ideas off each other.
That's cool.
And then, he was an offensive guy. I was a defensive guy. He helped me grow in the offensive area, because I was throw it inside, from my Dunbar days to my college days. We're going inside out. He showed me how you can be able to be an offensive team where you're playing 4 out, 5 out, using your guards. And so it made me grow, and then Coach Bennett was a defensive, he's a monster, man. He reminds me of Coach Hughes, because he makes people better.
Gotcha.
You want to work hard for him. Like, I still call him, check on him. I wish I can call him a little bit more, but I know he's working just as hard as I am. And for me, I want to represent him, Coach Mayu Smith, John Jackson, Jason Porstasi, all those coaches that invested in me. I want to represent them the correct way.
Very cool.
So it's just, and I got some guys that have become head coaches. David Miller, who's the head coach at Carrollton Ranch View, and then Jalen Butler, who's at Uplift Academy. So I want to make sure I'm continuously growing and sharing with them. And I know they got that same work ethic. And so you just want to keep doing the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah, our guy, Artie Burns, too. He's the head coach at Polytechnical.
Okay.
So I'm just thankful for those guys, So, but we all just want iron sharpens iron.
Yes, sir. So now a little bit, how would you describe your coaching philosophy?
I just want to use the game of basketball to teach life skills. When I come in, regardless of whatever it is we're doing, I want them to understand that if you have a plan and you set the goal, you set up steps to achieve that goal, and you give your very best to it. And that's what on the court, in the classroom, in the community. That's one thing we always say is there's nothing how one man does one thing is how he does everything, and we want to make sure that we are giving our very best. If you don't know something, you go ask.
Yes, sir.
You know, and so I try to make sure they see me doing the same thing. Like I was sharing with you early, when the season ends, when I tell them to go grow, get bigger, faster, stronger, I have to do the same thing. I go learn, I go beg coaches on why do you do this? You know, I bug Ware all the time, you know, why do you teach this way? How do you use this method of getting your players better? You know, I bug Coach Bennett about, you know, why do we teach certain things? Like it's a desire to keep improving that I hope my players see from me that I do for them, and I do it for each other. You know, that's just how you keep getting better.
Yes, sir.
You know, wins and losses gonna come and go. There's so many different factors, but showing up every single day and giving your best, you know, you can go to bed at peace with that.
So what's has been some of the biggest highlights since you've been at Arlington Seguin?
I think my first year, new group of guys, you know, got put in the district with some tough opponents. You know, we got Mansfield Summits and Mansfield Timberview. At the time, we had Midlothian Heritage. It was some guys that on talent-wise were tough for us. You know, it was very, very tough. And those guys bought in, they competed. And the next thing you know, man, we ended up earning 10 district wins.
Wow.
Against those guys. And that's how tough the district was for, you know, we earned 10 wins, and it was a battle. Everybody was competing. So just being able to still make it during that time was a big sign for us. You know, the boys gonna get on me because they told me to mention this, but being able to earn a district win at Summit, which is, they're like the staple program of our district right now. You know, I really respect Coach Pritchett, the way he does things. But being able to compete and the guys seeing that they could play well against those guys at their place my first year winning there was a big highlight for them. Coach playing against Timberview every year, Coach Workman, both of these guys do amazing jobs, man. I truly appreciate this opportunity to be able to compete against those guys because they're not guys that just rely upon the gifts that they have. They work hard. They prepare those guys. And so being able to compete against him and, you know, battling against him and, you know, sometimes coming out victorious like once last year was something that was really big to our guys as well, because as a growing program, we need to know that we can do those things.
Yes, sir. You
know, like I said, those guys are the staple of our district. And then my guys, seeing some of those guys graduate that when I got there, you know, were not on the path to be able to graduate. I tell people all the time, seeing, you know, some of them guys walk across that stage, it breaks me down, man, because, you know, you hear everything, you see it, you study, but seeing them walk across that stage and they come hug you or they give you that big picture, they give you that big smile on your picture. Yeah. You know, that's the stuff I keep in my office. And, you know, on tough days, I lean up on that. And so, like I say, we had some decent wins, man, but it's seeing those guys be able to achieve goals that they couldn't think of, that they could think possible. That's where I thrive at. Yes, sir.
How do you approach leadership both on and off the court with your players?
I model every single thing that I believe a leader should do. You know, I try my best to make sure every single day I'm studying some type of leadership. I'm a big Nick Saban guy. You know, understanding that the results is just something that if you focus on the process, everything else will take care of itself. And so I try to make sure I'm studying elite leaders and I'm coming back to them and I'm modeling for my coaches on our staff. I'm modeling for our players. When I meet with my leaders, I'm explaining to them what are key things that you need to make sure you're displaying to your teammates, just so they'll know not only that you care about them, but they'll fight hard for you. And so it's been a growing process that we've been doing because, you know, today's game, everybody can focus on themselves for a while.
Yes, sir.
And the good thing that has happened is guys are starting to care more about each other. The seniors and juniors are getting some of the freshmen and sophomores to come to Breakfast Club or they stay after school or they'll watch film with them. So it's just a continuous thing of displaying leadership, what it looks like, and teaching it to those guys in different ways and giving them opportunities to show, what leadership is,
Yes, sir.
So
What-
it's
Which again, I mean, that's cool to hear because you're building a culture and
Yes,
you're
sir.
building that, and kind of how you said it, by seniors buying in, juniors buying
Yes,
in,
sir.
and now freshmen,
Yes,
it just
sir.
keeps going down, which is really cool to hear
Yes,
and
sir.
see. So really for the community, for your fans, for the school, how would you describe the identity of Seguin basketball right now? And what do you want people to say about your program when they see them play this year?
The identity of our program, I would want them to say that we are a defensive focused school that focus on competing every possession, making sure we earn stops, making sure that we are a team that share the ball offensively, making sure that we are a team that's going to do our best to represent ourselves, our families, and our community in a positive way. I want them to know that regardless of whatever game they come to, we're going to play very, very hard for them. And we're going to do our best to make sure we represent them the right way. Whether it's myself, the teachers, the campus, wherever it is, we want to make sure we do our very best to represent them the correct way.
So,
And so just guys that are tough, tough, hard-nosed guys that, regardless of whoever we're playing against, we're going to give them a battle, and that's something I try to share our guys. Like, there's nobody that, there's no reason why you should doubt yourself. You've put in the work, you're prepared. Now just come out and have fun and compete at a high level.
sir.
Yes, sir.
What excites you most about this year's team, and what makes this group special?
It's very exciting with this group because some of these guys I've been with for year 4 now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got a couple guys that have been with me for the whole time. And so now to see them go from young guys who didn't have no facial hair on their face and, having to go against varsity guys at that time to now, bodies change because, we lift the weights in 3 times a week and,
Mhm.
they're eating better and, to see their voices change to where they normally was guys that was sitting in the back to now they're guys that are speaking up and basically being me and the coaching staff when I'm not there. Guys that are, holding each other accountable, man. It's just like it's a gift. It's a gift and a curse. I say that because it's a gift because you seen that you didn't just take advantage of this opportunity to have those guys in your program. You really invested in them and you grew them on the court and off. And now they're able to do the same thing to others. So I'm looking forward to seeing, Zadra Green, who's been with me for 4 years, come out and, this year he's been focusing more on playmaking. He can score. He's a kid that has over 1,500 career points.
Wow.
And now he's been displaying his passing ability, being able to use his gift to get into the paint, draw guys closer to him, and he's able to kick it out for shooters. We got some young guys that he's taking up under his wing. And, these guys have seen him do this and be the main guy on the board that you have to stop. And they see how he prepares. And now there are names on that same board of guys that you got to stop as well. So just seeing the growth of us being maybe a 1 or 2 player type of program to now where we have multiple guys you have to be concerned about on the offensive end, and defensively we go hunting together. That's the thing I really love to say. I love to, I tell the guys, unleash them, go use all that gift that God has given you. And so we really, really try to, to just enjoy it because I know February and March will come very, very fast.
Yeah.
And, I've been blessed to have, this is going to be my 3rd group of seniors that I've got to grow with and be close with. And, so I'm going to try to enjoy every day with this one,
Sir.
because I don't take it lightly, and so it's I look forward to seeing them compete every
Yeah.
game.
No, I mean, we were talking earlier. I mean, you only get to go to high school once.
Yeah.
You can be a senior once.
Yes,
And so
sir.
it's really cool that you want them to, remember this time.
Yes, I do.
So that's cool.
Yeah, I want, like I say, it's just enjoy. Like I tell them all the time, we had the pep rallies. At one thing I can say about Dunbar is our pep rallies were fun because we made them fun. At the pep rally when the band would play, We would dance.
Yeah.
We would whether it was football season, whether it was basketball season, whether it was track, regardless, we had fun. We celebrated. We made sure we had fun, and we made sure those around us had fun. And so those same people that we was with in the pep rally, next thing you know, they're coming to our games and they're cheering for us, and they're coming to Dallas and they're going to East Texas, and then they're coming to Austin, and that run that we started. The next year they go back, they win state. When after we graduate, and they're one of the top teams in the nation. So it's like, when you invest in others, it's like you pay it forward. You give your best to them, and they just pass it on.
So, Coach, when you look ahead for the community, again, for the school, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave at Arlington Seguin basketball?
When my time is up at Seguin, I hope that they know that we invested in them in every area. We wanted to make sure that they grew on the basketball court. Their passing, their shooting, their dribbling, their footwork, their defense. Okay, the way they treated each other, the way they, be able to work well with each other. My biggest thing is, I always say, is I want these skills that you learn in basketball, I want you to be able to take it to the workforce. If you go to get a job, you got to be able to deal with other people. You got to be able to, if you got a manager or a boss, you got to be able to be responsible and respectful to them, and I want them to know that these skills that we're teaching y'all, translate. And I want them to take these same skills to the classroom, work hard, get all your work due before it's time to turn it in. And then eventually, like I said, when they get to the community, I want them to do the exact same thing. So I just hope they know that we did our very, very best to make sure that we helped their kids as best as we could, trying to be that backup support to them.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So kind of to go a little bit, really the visibility. I mean, how do you think platforms like Rebel Recruit, who you guys are on, kind of helps programs and players gain more visibility with college coaches?
I think it provides us with the opportunity to be able to reach places that we normally couldn't reach, or normally we would have to do things like when I would be working for my former players before we was blessed to meet with you guys. I would literally have to go and get all their stats and their transcripts and put it on one email. And then I would have to go find the email coach of the coaches, and I would have to send it off. And it was something, sir, that I'm telling you, it would take a very, very long time. But being with you guys have provided us with opportunities to be closer to the coaches. Like I said, I can already tell from Zadra, like I say, Zadra Green for sure, he has been reached out by coaches that that we didn't know about before we got with you guys. And one coach reached out to him the other day from Detroit, was like, hey, I need you in my program. So being with you guys have opened us up. The media has, enhanced our guys, and our guys find joy in knowing, that there's people working for them behind the scenes like we are as coaches. And like I said, I'm truly thankful to be a part of the family.
Well, we're excited for you guys to be on Rebel Crew.
Yes, sir.
And I think, it's a new era, right? In terms of you have social media and things like that. Why is storytelling so important for high school players and high school basketball programs in this era?
Because it's so many people that may not be able to see you and may be able to know about you. And so, I look at storytelling as a way of, being able to reach people that could possibly be in some kind of way beneficial to you. You having people, it was storytelling to our players by sharing with them of what they could be and bagging and giving them motivation to achieve that story that they believe in about themselves. And we got to make sure as coaches that we share positive things with them so that they can keep growing. And then eventually they start seeing those things they once dreamed up initially come true. But it requires, people, that really care and not just doing it for themselves, to be heavily invested into them and make sure we sell them the correct story of what they could do.
Yes, sir.
So it's just something that, like I say, just being with you guys and seeing how, respected you guys are. When I go back to my guys and I share with them, y'all, if you work hard, if you take care of your nutrition, if you take care of your your work in the weight room, you get your shots up and your ball handling. You have people behind the scenes that are helping you with your dream come true.
Sir.
But you got when they help get those coaches there and they watch your film and they look at your data, they got to see that you have been putting in the work, because the eye in the sky don't lie.
Yes, sir.
Regardless of how much we want to tell them, but this coach certain things, the camera's gonna show. The eye in the sky is gonna tell them what it is. So it's just being able to earn what you want. I keep going back to that.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, Coach, again, I just want to say it was exciting and honor for you to come by the Rev Recruit studio.
Yes, sir.
And good luck this season.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing what you guys do.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
Sir, thank you.
Thank you.